law attorney. A chance for you to call in with any question you may have about any of the manner of services that are given by an elder law attorney. We just talked about wills. I always find that conversation interesting. Now we're going to move on to trusts.
Yes.
And as we went to break, I said you consider them, what, the greatest invention of the human mind?
One of the greatest inventions of the human mind.
And now why?
And every once in a while, I'll tell clients this, and they'll look at me like I'm crazy, but I'll just tell you is that basically what you're doing here is that you have a trust is basically an agreement, between some individuals where a person agrees to hold money or property for the benefit of another person.
Okay.
That's essentially what it is. And what makes it important is that, if I'm a trustee, let's say I'm designated as a trustee by a parent or somebody, and I'm so now title to the assets. Those assets are vested in me, not as an individual, but as a trustee. So I'm entrusted with those assets. And let's say that I'm a trustee, and the purpose of the trust, is a parent that says, look, Tim, would you be a trustee for me? Because I have a special needs child that I know that when I pass away, I need to make sure that child is taken care of. So I agree to do that. And so those assets now are in my name as a trustee, which means that if anything happens to me, like if I die, or if I'm in an automobile accident or anything like that, those assets don't belong to me. That my creditors don't have access to those assets in the trust.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And if I die, if I can't serve as trustee, then a court would step in, maybe unless the person designated that there would be a backup or a successor trustee to me, so that person would take over. And so some of these trusts can go on for decades, because let's say you have a minor child who has special needs, and a parent or a grandparent creates a trust for that child, either by a will or during their lifetime, and then the grandparent or the great grandparent dies, and now you've got maybe an 8 or a 9-year-old special needs child that's going to need to be taken care of till that child, basically the rest of that child's life, which could be 50, 60, 70, 80 years.
Sure.
So that trust could be in place for that long.
And it would last that long. If it's managed properly, it could last that long. You could say the life of the child.
The trustee has certain duties to that child. It's the sole interest of the trustee would be to make sure that that we call it a fiduciary relationship, or is that a fiduciary obligation, which is the highest duty that we know of, or that the law that imposes. That one person has, to another. That I have to, it's not about what my interests are, but it's completely about what the beneficiary's interests are.
And isn't that subjective sometimes? Wouldn't that be subjective? Couldn't you say, well, I think it's, in their best interest to, I don't know, go do this nice vacation, when, maybe it's not in their best interest. What are the penalties if you violate that responsibility? Or not violate it, it's just subjective, and maybe you didn't intend to violate it, but someone thinks you violated it.
Yeah. Well, and, that certainly, the ultimate would be is that, I wind up in court as a trustee, being a trustee, and that, that I be removed as a trustee, and that maybe I need to pay that money back.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that could be a repercussion if you're kind of careless.
Yes. Right. Which is a lot of reasons why what we want our let's say our parent or grandparent that is setting up this trust, what's important for them to do is, okay, you're setting up a trust for, let's say you've got $300,000 that you want, that you want to make sure that you want that for your 23-year-old grandchild who has special needs. And so what you want to make sure, if you are the person that's setting up that trust, is that you provide clear instructions to the trustee as to what you expect, the trustee to do.
Right.
Some call it they have like a name for it. They'll call it a letter of intent. Where literally the person that is making the trust will say, okay, here's what my intentions are. They not only maybe write that into the document, into the trust agreement, the written agreement, but they also have like maybe a side letter that says, okay, here's what we're not going to put in here in the trust is that my grandchild is got this disease or affliction, and maybe that grandchild has needs that don't really need to be written into the contract itself. Could be something as simple as, well, she sleeps during the day and stays up at night or something.
Right.
Or doesn't or don't feed her cereal for breakfast because she won't eat it, or she doesn't like eggs. Stuff like that, and the more detail that the trustee has, that's really how to be a good trustee.
Wow. That's so
the more
interesting.
information that you have.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones here. Let's go to Malia, who has been waiting patiently. Malia, hello.
Hello.
Hi, go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I was wondering, I have an antique dining room.
Okay.
Hello.
You have to turn down your TV or you'll get this echo, but you have an antique dining room. Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. And I have written my different children. I have 3 boys. And I have written their names on that furniture where it goes. Will that stand up?
Okay. So what do you think of that?
Well, legally, that's really not going to pass muster. I guess the thing about it is it's really it's really about what how you feel about your children and whether you feel like they will agree that that antique set or the chairs are mine and the table is yours. My recommendation would be and certainly is having the stickers are fine, but my recommendation still is that you want to have that in your own handwriting and sign it and date it.
Have it in your own handwriting, sign it and date it.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So you might have, let's say you have 5 beneficiaries. I had a woman that did this, and she came in this afternoon and showed me what she had because I kind of instructed her how to do this, and she had 4 or 5 pieces of paper, and I said, okay, Sue, what I want you to do is go ahead and I told her at our first meeting is write all this out on a piece of notebook paper or whatever it is, and use 1 piece of notebook paper per beneficiary. So in your case, let's say if it was 5, you would say, okay, 5 pieces of paper, and you say, okay, and you might say, the stickers are there, but stickers fall off, stickers get removed. I mean, there's all sorts of, remember, I'm the person that walks around with a cloud over my head thinking about all the bad things that could happen.
You're Mr. Worst Case Scenario.
Yes, because that's my job.
Right.
My job is essentially risk management.
Right.
How do we make sure that, because you're not going to be here when that happens, and how do you make sure that that your statements, that what you want gets carried out, and that you protect and preserve family harmony?
Yes, protect and preserve family harmony.
Yeah, maybe that's the most precious gift that you can give to your children or your beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's interesting. And you hope that one of those kids wouldn't, go against the wishes and challenge something like that. Hopefully they're all on the same page, but it's always good in your own handwriting to have your wishes right out there, right?
Well, and think about this too, Ben, and and Malia, who sits here on the phone, is that, I like the idea of putting stickers on there because you can, it's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
But think about the memorandum as a backup, and also think the possibility that maybe all of the beneficiaries or children agree, but remember, they have spouses, or some of them do. Maybe some of them have children who don't necessarily like you or like what you do or whatever it is. So that's also something to think about.
All right, very good. Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll come back, continue discussing wills and trusts. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.